For a 32-bit compiler, range would be even greater question. Like what exactly do you mean by 16-bit or 32-bit compiler? What range of an integer constant has to do with the type of compiler, and such questions are discussed in detail in this chapter. So basically for 16-bit compiler range was different. Now for 32-bit compiler the range is different. That is for 16-bit compiler we are we have limited range. Then for 32-bit compiler we can do 32-bit operations at one time. So it has a different range. Till that time it would be assumed that we are working with a 16-bit compiler. Example, 426 plus 782 minus 8000 minus 7605. So till that we are assuming that we are using a 16-bit compiler, but we have to remember that rules for 32-bit compiler are different than that of 16-bit compiler. Now rules for constructing real constants. Following rules must be observed while constructing real constants expressed in fractional form. So while constructing real constants in the real constant are in fractional form, so while considering those fractions we have a certain rules and they must be observed. First, rule a real constant must have at least one digit. That means it should be at least single digit number. B, it must have a decimal point. That means it should have a decimal point. So that is rule B. Now rule C, it could be either positive or negative. So it can be either positive or it can be either negative. So that is rule C. Now rule D, default sign is positive. So if no sign is given, then default sign is positive. Rule E, no commas or blanks are allowed within a real constant. That means no comma or no blank are allowed within a real constant. So as in general in real life we apply commas or blanks. So in this language we cannot use commas or blanks. Now examples. First is 325.34, that is positive number. Now here sign is not given, but it is still a positive number. 426.0. Now minus 32.76. So here sign is given, that is negative sign. So it is a negative number. So this was third number. Now fourth number is minus 48.5792. So this is a negative number because the sign is given here. The exponential form of representation of real constant is usually used if value of constant is either too small or too large. So if value of that constant is either too small or too large, then exponential form of representation of real constant is given. That means it can be represented in exponential form.